Have you ever felt like you're your own worst enemy? Like one part of your brain knows exactly what to do, but another part just completely sabotages you. Well, let's dive into that because there's a way to get these two minds of yours working together so you can finally stop fighting yourself and actually start winning. I mean, think about it for a second. That moment right before a huge presentation when your mind just goes completely blank, or that critical moment in a game where you suddenly choke. Rationally, you know it's not life or death, but some part of you reacts like it is. So why does this happen? Well, it all comes down to how we use, or more often misuse, our two very different minds. So let's meet the two key players inside your head. First up, you've got your conscious mind. You can think of this as the CEO. It's the part that thinks, it analyzes, it sets the big goals. And then you have the automatic mechanism. This thing is like a powerful, unconscious supercomputer. It doesn't reason, it doesn't judge. It is a goal-striving machine that just executes whatever orders it's given. Now, this is where it gets really important. Your automatic mechanism can be your absolute greatest ally, or your biggest obstacle. It all depends on the data you feed it. If you feed it images of success, guess what? It becomes a success mechanism. But if you feed it fear and doubt, it becomes a failure mechanism, working tirelessly to make those negative pictures a reality. So, how exactly do we end up feeding it all the wrong data? Well, it happens when our conscious mind, the CEO, gets confused about its real job and starts trying to micromanage everything. This creates four really common mental hazards that just jam up our entire system and turn our most powerful ally against us. The first hazard is something called the fear of fear. This is when your conscious mind obsesses over a future failure. See, you're not actually scared of giving the speech, you're scared of getting stage fright during the speech. It's that anticipatory worry that floods your system and causes you to choke before you even start. Okay, hazard number 2, losing your cool. You can probably picture this one, right? The golfer who misses a single shot and just wraps their club around the nearest tree. That's the conscious mind throwing a total tantrum, and it sends a really powerful signal to your automatic mechanism that you're out of control and, prone to failure. Next up is getting way too high or way too low. This is classic overreaction. You make one tiny mistake, and suddenly your conscious mind makes this sweeping negative judgment, convincing you that you're a total failure. This habit of letting one single event define your entire self-image, it just creates this vicious feedback loop. And finally, the fourth hazard, worrying what other people think. This is that constant fear of being judged or looking foolish. When your conscious mind gets completely distracted trying to manage the audience's perception of you, it can't focus on its real job, and you just can't perform naturally. Now, when we're facing these hazards, our first instinct is pretty much always the same. Just try harder, right? We grit our teeth and we use willpower to force ourselves to calm down or to focus. But this leads us straight into a trap. And this quote just brilliantly shows why. Telling yourself, I will not be nervous, or I will not get angry, well, that's a form of conscious effort that actually interferes with your automatic mechanism. You're basically trying to drive a car by grabbing the wheels directly instead of just using the steering wheel. It's not just ineffective, it actually makes things worse. So, if willpower is the wrong tool, what's the right one? Well, the solution is to completely redefine the jobs of your two minds. Let's go back to that core idea. Your conscious mind is the CEO, and your automatic mechanism is the factory. See, the CEO, that's your conscious mind, has a very specific job. Set the overall goal, gather intelligence, and make the final decision. That's it. The factory, your automatic mechanism, has its job. Take the CEO's order and handle all the production details. It works 24/7, solving problems and executing the plan without any conscious oversight. The problem is, most of us have the CEO running around on the factory floor, trying to operate the machinery himself. It's chaos. The key then isn't to work harder. It's to get better at delegating. You have to learn how to properly hand off the problem from the CEO to the factory, trusting that the work will get done behind the scenes. This is the art of creative delegation. The philosopher Bertrand Russell totally perfected this. When he was faced with a really difficult topic, he wouldn't just grind away at it endlessly. He'd study it with intense focus for a few hours, maybe a few days, and then, as he put it, he would give orders that the work is to proceed underground. He literally delegated the problem to his automatic mechanism and turned his conscious attention to something else entirely. So it all comes down to this simple 3-step process. First, you immerse yourself in the problem. Gather all the facts, study it intensely, and have a burning desire for a solution. Second, and this is the hardest part for most of us, you have to consciously let it go.
Delegate the task. Go for a walk, take a nap, work on something totally different. The key is genuine detachment. You're not just waiting for the answer, you are truly handing over the project and trusting the factory to do its work. And third, you just have to be ready to receive the answer, because it often just pops into your head when you least expect it. Still need proof this works? Okay, Napoleon Hill was under immense pressure to name his now classic book. His publisher gave him 24 hours and threatened him with this awful title, Use Your Noodle to Get the Boodle. Seriously. Hill stressed out, he tried to force the solution, and he got absolutely nowhere. Finally, he just gave up, delegated the problem to his subconscious, and took a nap. He woke up with the perfect title, Think and Grow Rich. His automatic mechanism delivered the solution. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but this is something reserved for famous authors or philosophers. But the big mistake we all make is assuming this process is only for so-called creative types. This is a universal human capability. It's built into all of us. Whether you're a cook trying to come up with a new recipe, a student preparing for a big exam, or an entrepreneur trying to solve a business problem, this process applies. Genius isn't some rare gift you're born with. It's the natural process of how the mind works when we simply stop getting in its way. We all have this inner mechanism, just waiting for its next assignment. So that leaves us with one final, really powerful question. Think about that challenge you've been wrestling with, that one problem you've been trying to force a solution for. Now that you know how this system really works, what